So this video may come as a shock to much of my audience. Many of my previous videos have been dedicated to criticizing Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the first president of Turkey. While most Turks adore him, my videos are focused on the outright hatred he had towards Islam, his ultra-nationalist views, and him repressing ethnic minorities, as well as his empowering of the Turkish military. Because of what he did from 1923 all the way to 1928, he is responsible for much of Turkey's suffering and chaos in the following decades, from military coups to oppressing innocent Muslims to even paving way for the PKK. These are genuine concerns and criticisms that people such as myself do and should hold. But resourcing all of Ataturk's actions down to him being supposedly Jewish is the most ahistorical and immature thing anyone could say. This claim has circulated in the past few decades but has made a comeback due to the internet. Because of it, many Muslims genuinely believe that only Ataturk hated Islam and did what he did to the Turkish people because he could have been Jewish. Conflating Ataturk's motivations and decisions, something which has changed Turkish history forever, into something having to do with Zionism is disgusting. This is not a video defending Ataturk. You already know my position on the man. But this is not how you criticize someone as vile as Ataturk. Instead of criticizing his draconian laws against Islam, or his oppression of ethnic minorities, or even him controlling free speech, I had people come up to my face and say, I do not like Ataturk because he was Jewish. It boggles me. Accusations like this only make actual and genuine criticisms against Ataturk entirely pointless. I hope this video clarifies that Ataturk was not only Jewish, but answer a fundamental question: why did he hate Islam in the first place? The accusation that Ataturk was Jewish can be split into two parts. This section will focus on suspicion surrounding the ethnicity of Ataturk's parents, especially his father, Ali Riza Effendi, whose background is still speculated by both historians and Muslims alike today. It also doesn't help that Ataturk was also born in the city of Salonika in modern-day Greece, which had a Jewish majority population at the time. Now, lots of people suggest that because of Salonika having such a big Jewish community, surely Ataturk must have been Jewish. On the surface, this actually makes sense, but when you look at the actual demographics of the city, that's not the case. While Jews numbered 47% of Salonika's population, they were not the overwhelming majority, with Turks being the second largest group at 22%, followed by Greeks, Bulgarians, and so on. Using this argument, there is no definite way of concluding that Ataturk was Jewish, especially since the city had a large Muslim population. Now, that doesn't address the ethnicity of Ataturk's parents, but that's also simple to explain. Even though people are theorizing that Ali Riza must have been Jewish, he was raised in the town of Kozazik. I can't pronounce that. Basically, it's a little town located in North Macedonia, and that is why accredited historians such as Andrew Mango, Lowell Giffau, and Ernest Jacquet all believe that Ataturk had some Slavic or Albanian ancestry. That also explains why he looks slightly different to ordinary Turks. And if you're still doubting this, other historians have pointed out that Kozazik is today populated by ethnic Turks, which make up the overwhelming majority of the town, meaning that Ataturk was also Turkish. So to summarize and to make it clear, most historians agree that Ataturk must have been a mix of Turkish, Slavic, or Albanian, and that is because nothing about Ataturk's parents suggests they were Jewish, and therefore Ataturk as well. This section of the video will debunk the second major argument calling Ataturk Jewish, and it has to do with the conspiracy theories surrounding the Dönme. To keep it brief, during the 1600s, there was a Jewish rabbi who claimed to be the Jewish Messiah. But with the threat of being executed by the Sultan himself, the rabbi decided to convert to Islam, and many of his followers also converted but maintained their Jewish faith in private. So basically, they were crypto-Jews, or a more offensive way of calling them, Dönme, meaning apostate in Turkish. Because of this movement, many Muslims believe that Ataturk was not only a part of the Dönme, but conspired with Jews to oppress Islam during the 19s and 30s, and also conspired to build the State of Israel in the 1940s. Because if Ataturk hated Islam and repressed the faith that much, he surely must have been a Zionist, right? The problem with this argument is that the Dönme are over-exaggerated. In fact, Jews in the Ottoman Empire rarely supported Zionism, and that's because most of them were Sephardic Jews, who originated from Spain but fled to Ottoman lands after the Spanish Inquisition in the late 1400s. And within the Islamic world, whether it was North Africa or in the Ottoman Empire, they enjoyed such tolerance with their fellow Muslim brothers that they had no reason for them to support Zionism. In fact, Ottoman Jews were called the loyal millet for a reason. Because despite the Ottomans collapsing on themselves during the Balkan Wars, World War One, and the Turkish War of Independence, they remain loyal to the Turkish people, and that is a testament to their unyielding support for their Muslim rulers. So accusing them of plotting for the destruction of the Caliphate alongside with Ataturk is ahistorical and disgusting. I don't understand why people pin all of the world's problems, especially in regards to the state of the Muslim world, on Jews, especially since some of the most vocal critics of Zionism are Jews themselves, and some of the biggest opponents to Islam throughout human history has nothing to do with Jewish people, from the Fir'aun to Abu Lahab to Ataturk just a century ago. The point is this: Jews in the Ottoman Empire had no reason to support Zionism, especially since they peacefully coincided with their fellow Muslims for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And above all, I don't think Ataturk must have been Jewish to hate Islam. I think it comes from more fundamental things that shaped his childhood and experiences in the Ottoman Empire, all of it leading to the most radical change in Turkish history. For this final section of the video, I want to introduce my counter-argument, and I want to be blunt when I say that Ataturk arguably had an influence on Adolf Hitler. That may sound ridiculous to some in the audience, and I used to think so too, but mentioning the relationship between Hitler and Ataturk is important because it really shows that why calling Ataturk Jewish doesn't make sense. These two dictators are connected by the events of World War One. Both Germany and the Ottoman Empire sided with one another, but were also humiliated after the conflict, and while the former country spiraled down into political instability, the latter didn't. Instead, Ataturk led a nationalist resistance against the Allied occupiers, all of which led to the end of the Ottoman Empire and the rise of a new Turkish state. This determination really fascinated Hitler, and according to historian Stefan Ihrig in his book Ataturk and the Nazi Imagination, Hitler wanted to, quote, imitate Ataturk's radical construction of a new nation from the ashes of defeat in World War One. The point is that Hitler began to model the spread of Nazism in Germany based on Ataturk's nationalist revolution back at home, with many parallels you can see on the screen here. So if Ataturk was really Jewish, I don't think that Hitler, the guy that caused the Holocaust, will call Ataturk his, quote, star in the darkness. No, I am not kidding. And while Ataturk didn't personally like Hitler, his influence on Nazism even led to anti-Semitism rising in Turkey during the 1930s. It was actually Turkish newspapers, many of which were controlled by the Ataturk regime, which pumped out ruthless anti-Semitic messages on how Jews were not integrating into this new Turkish society and how they posed a security threat. All of this fueled a pogrom, yes, a pogrom, which made over 10,000 Jews flee the European parts of Turkey in 1934, all because of this constant harassment. My argument is that if Ataturk was really Jewish, then why did the pogrom happen in the first place? And so I don't piss off people in the comments. No, I do not think that Kemalism and Nazism are the same. They have fundamental differences between each other, but still, if Hitler had such a fascination with Ataturk in the first place, I don't think the guy could have been Jewish. I guess you understand why I made this video in the first place. Because I find it frustrating that people focus on the wrong things in history, and instead of looking at Ataturk's childhood, his education, his trips across Europe, or even his perspective of the Ottoman Empire collapsing, there are people who conclude that surely Ataturk must have been Jewish. To the people who still believe so, I don't think you're dumb. I just think you misplace your attention. Instead of focusing on dumb accusations such as this, focus on things that Ataturk actually did. Spread awareness on this unknown part of the past, because Ataturk has decisively changed the course of Islamic history forever, and in some ways, he is responsible for the disunity of the Muslim world, which is now divided more than ever, arguing over meaningless debates, and most tragic of them all, killing each other.